Hey, hello everyone. In just about 5 minutes, we'll start our regular nailing FX session. So stand by and log in, be ready for another session. We'll get started at the top of the hour here, just a couple of minutes to go, and we will have another Nailing FX Forex Simplified session. right, it looks like we're ready to go. Top of the hour here. First things first, let's go through the disclaimers. The following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Excuse me. Tradictive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all content used in the videos is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive by using or on using our product. With that out of the way, let's continue. And good morning from Vietnam. I am streaming live from Binh Hoa City, Dong Nai Province here in Vietnam. I'm at the Pegasus Plaza in downtown downtown Binh Hoa. And it's just after 10 a.m. here in Vietnam, where I am. And just after 3 a.m. in London, and of course it is Tuesday night, 10 p.m. on the U.S. East Coast. This is Nailing FX, Spot Forex Trading Simplified. If you need to get a hold of me, you can always send me an email at fxopabert@gmail.com, or you use the opa at tradedictive.com, and make sure that you understand how to log in and get the schedule on a regular basis. Here is the new February trading schedule. Today is the 3rd. I'm on YouTube, obviously this is YouTube. Next week, I was planning on doing some traveling here, but looks like COVID may prevent that from happening. If I do not have to travel, I'll see about putting on another presentation last minute, see if we can do an update for next Wednesday. But right now, and in the next few days, I'll have to confirm exactly what's happening. On the 17th, I'll be broadcasting through FX Street, and then at the end of the month, on the 24th, on YouTube again. Remember that if you go to the www.tradewithufos.com/OPA, sign up for the free registration. Then you can always click on Get Together, and you'll be seeing what the schedule is, and you can click on that schedule and have the sessions automatically put into your calendar, so you'll never miss one of the trading sessions, as well as the other sessions if you're interested in any other asset classes in addition to Forex. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to do today. As you see here, today's session is exactly the same as what we did last week. We will review the trade that I put on last week. Swing through the Forex math, again deciding how we are going to determine what to trade. I'm doing this so that you can get a feel for how I plan and how I determine what to trade. Okay, so this is my internalized trading plan, and it's the way I do it. It doesn't take a long time. Unfortunately, we only have 1 hour a week to do this right now, and sometimes there's just no trades. There's no trades, and I will not show you trades that I have taken during the week. Last week I did show you one, but normally I will not show you any trades that I've done other than live sessions, because there are those out there, doubting Thomas, that believe that we cherry pick, and that is not the case. Every time we take a trade, it will be live. Whether it works or not, that's the way the ball bounces, okay? So we'll go through the process and look for some trades today. So last week, here is what the setup looked like. On January 27th, I put a date timestamp on that chart. You can see the blue line here is my entry. The red line above there is the stop, and the green line below was the target. So let's take a look over here. This is the MT4 platform, and you can see here down below, here is the order number, the time that the order was put in. It was a sell limit because we are anticipating that price would move back to the entry price, move back up before it dropped down. And I was looking for at least a 50 pip move because it appeared that price would potentially be moving in our direction because the channel had flattened out. We got a lot of good indicators telling me, I keep saying us, but I am talking about me and us as you participants watching, that price would come down here. Everything lined up really good. Looking at the trading view, I saw that we had a zone up here, an area where there were unfilled orders, which coincided with the MT4 indicators. And so that was the setup here, and you can see the numbers up here, okay? So what happened? What happened? Well, let's take a look. Here is that same area here. Price did in fact pull back, and we can see that it pulled back within just about 5 pips, unfortunately. 5 pips of coming in to take us into that position. After it pulled back to about 77.45, a little bit over 77.45. It then turned around and dropped significantly. Unfortunately, I did not get aboard on that particular trade. Okay, so that was the setup. Again, price did exactly what I had anticipated. Unfortunately, it did not do what I wanted within that time frame. But I want to point out to you that you see these blue arrows here, these blue arrows. Once price pulled back a little bit and then dropped away, those blue arrows are other opportunities, additional opportunities to get into a trade if you missed it, okay? Or they are opportunities to add to a position, to scale in to a position. So you can see those are the SETs that we always talk about, that I talk about and I've gone over. So there were some other opportunities to get into the trade here in the upper band. Here was an opportunity in the middle. I would hesitate to take that in the middle, although we did have, the channel as well as the profile showing that there was a good chance for it to move down. Anyways, that's what happened. So the trade was canceled. I canceled that trade because there was just no reason to hold a position and anticipate that it's going to come back up here after it had moved significantly to the downside. And here on the trading view chart, you can see that it blew right through the target that initially was put up was basically a 1-to-1, and moved into that zone, that area where we had unfilled orders identified back then. So that would have been a nice trade if we had been taken on board. And again, down here in the climate turned to a strong downward move. Okay, and so there was some good reasons to try to go ahead and jump into that trade later. Unfortunately, again, you're looking at an hourly chart. We weren't live, so there was no way to take this trade so that you could see exactly what I was doing. All right, so Forex math, again, what I do is I try to identify the strong versus the weak, starting out with the majors. I have 8 majors that I look at, actually 7 majors, plus the Singapore dollar, which is a good indicator here in the region that I'm living in now, and it also balances out the profile picture very nicely. And if you have a nice big screen, if you have a maybe 23-inch screen that you're looking at, these 8 show up very nicely on the screen, and we do the Forex math. So we'll look at that and see if we find something. The next thing that we always do is, once we've identified the potential for trade, we look at the overall trend and the current trend. The overall trend being identified by the channel. Is price trading in the upper band or lower band of the channel? And the current trend is the 2 profile moving averages, the first 2 profile moving averages. So once we've identified overall trend and current trend, then we start to look at MT4 confirmation indicators. And then we have all of our indicators that we look at to see if there is a predominance of indications. Okay, and we also look for confluence with TradingView. And again, what we'd be looking for is those areas where we have potentially unfilled orders that are sitting there, as well as the auto climate giving us an indication of how long a move may continue in a particular direction. Okay, is it right? Sometimes, very often it is, but it's not 100%. As I've told you in the past, nothing is 100% in Forex trading. There's always the opportunity to have a bad trade, not necessarily a bad trade, a trade that just doesn't work. I don't like to call them bad trades. Yeah, you'll lose some money, but if you are following your trading plan, and you believe in your trading plan, and you have personally verified that plan, and you have analyzed the things that you do, and you're confident in your trading plan, then there should be no reason to hesitate to put on a trade. Those trades should work. If they don't work, you need to do a little more analyzing. But sometimes trades just don't work, and you have to accept that and move on. Okay, it's part of trading. So before we get into searching for those trades, I just want to again remind you that you should go to www.tradewithufos.com/OPA and subscribe. The Nailing FX sessions that we put on every Wednesday are free, and you'll get your notifications and have the opportunity to put them into your calendar. You can also find the previous videos that you should go back and take a look at to understand exactly what we're doing. Okay, and those can be found just by Googling nailing FX OPA Bert, and you'll find a lot of good information that's available to you. All right, so as I said, let's go ahead and move on to the charts. We always do an analysis of our charts to identify potential trades in live time frames. All right, so let's go ahead and see if I can escape this and close this down and bring up my, whoops, what's happening here? All right, looks like we've got a little bit of a chart expanding into my other monitor here. All right, so here again, this is this vertical yellow line here, if you can see it. Okay, you see the yellow line? I hope that you can see my cursor on this. I've made an extra effort to try to make sure that that cursor is visible. In the past, it was very hard to see. All right, so that was last week. Last week, we were anticipating that price would pop up again a little bit and then take us into this trade. It did not. After the trade went down significantly here, we went into another area where we got a lot of good indication that we are okay. Yep. All right, so here we go. It did go up, and then again, now it again looks like it's moving a little bit sideways. So let's go ahead and let me reduce this down so we can look at our dailies. And remember that the symbol always contains two currencies. The base currency, the first three letters of the symbol, the base currency reflects the chart. The chart always reflects the base currency. So it looks like on the US Swiss that the trend, the overall trend as identified by the channel, is down. Not strong down, but still down. We are in a counter trend. We're in a counter trend move of the overall trend. So the current trend, as identified by the profile, the first two moving averages of our profile, are showing that it is going up. We've got an alert here that indicates that price may be turning down. We are sitting very close to, on top of the zero line on the MACD, still indicating positive. So we've got nothing really strong one way or the other. So this would be a zero value. We value these as +1, 0, or -1. So this is a zero value. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. And we got to do this. Very, very similar. This is the US yen, okay, JPY, the yen. And looks like the indicator has gone, the overall indication is that price is moving sideways since the channel is flat. We are entering into, or we've just about entered into, the upper zone. There's a potential for price to turn around. So that's going to take some time. We're looking at a daily chart. It's going to take a little bit of time for price to give us a good indication of where it wants to go. All right. So right now, this is what I would call this actually more a +1 rather than a minus, because the overall indicator, the overall trend is flat, doesn't tell us anything, and we have a very strong indication here in the profile. So we have a +1. Let's go ahead and look at the Canadian, the dollar Canadian. I can move this so we can see that. All right, so the dollar Canadian is showing a negative, and that the -1. Why? Simply because, again, we've got a turn here in the profile. Looks like the profile wants to come back down, and so they would be corresponding together. The MACD is pretty flat. Doesn't tell us anything really. The overall tendency would still be a little bit positive, but since the profile is sitting right on top of the 0 line, it could go either way. So I can't really give you a good analysis on what the profile is telling me right now. The profile is just basically positive. It looks like it may be crossing the 0 line, may not, could turn around and come down. So, but between the long-term trend, which is down, and the current trend, which is basically starting to turn down again, we've got an alert along with a confirmation of that on a daily chart. This could be an indication of a downward move. So this is a -1. So we've got a +1, a -1, and a 0. So we are back to 0 on the US so far. Let's go ahead and quickly take a look at what is happening with the Singapore dollar. Okay, the Singapore dollar, and why is that? Okay, let's go ahead and move that over here. Singapore dollar, what's going on here? All right. Move that back to daily. All right. And let's see. So the Singapore dollar is showing a negative. It's not a strong negative, but again, overall trend has a lot more viability than the shorter term trend. It looks like the shorter term trend may want to turn around, but again, it's happening right in the middle of the channel. So we are looking at this movement to basically tell us not much. We have a -1, I would say a weak -1 so far. Okay, so now we go down to the lower charts here on our profile, and what we're looking at here is the euro in the base position. So what we are seeing is that the euro is showing some strength to the upside long term, and it's been showing a lot of strength for a long time. If you look at the overall chart, the current trend based on the profile is coming down, and it looks like price wants to drop, probably drop into the lower band down here before it would start to come back up. So there's a conflict here. We've got a weakening long-term trend to the upside with a significant move to the downside here. and my MACD has definitely come down. Okay, and it has not crossed back above the signal line for quite some time here. So this trend is coming down. What can I say? It again looks like the euro could be or the U.S. based on the euro could be +1, maybe. I would say a weak +1. All right. So now let's go ahead and look at the pound. Now the pound is showing a lot of strength, good strength to the upside. So that means the dollar is down. And it's flat inside. The MACD is showing definite move to the downside. So the current trend is not helping me to make a decision. The MACD is indicating that price should continue to come down, but that's counter to the long-term trend, which shows some strength here. So I don't have a good feel for the U.S. dollar showing a lot of strength. I would say that the U.S. dollar may still be weak against the pound. All right. Let's go to the Aussie. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I have traded the Aussie. I keep saying we. All right, so this has been coming down. The Aussie came down and now has pulled back up. Looks like the Aussie may want to go long. The short-term trend is giving us that indication. However, it's trading in the middle of the channel. It still shows that the Aussie may have a downward bias based on the MACD, although its downward bias is weakening, which tells us that the US dollar may be showing some strength. Okay, may be showing some strength. Not looking good for the Aussie right now. And then we go to the Kiwi. Well, again, the Kiwi kind of mirrors the Aussie. Oh, sorry, I just realized that I was looking at the Aussie hourly rather than daily. So I'll need to go ahead and switch that. All right, so there is the Aussie on the daily. So we can see a lot of strength showing the Aussie has a very strong move to the upside, although currently we have a strong move to the downside. Okay, and again, that's the direction that we wanted to take our trade my trade. I wanted to do it last week, and you can see here that yellow vertical line is last Wednesday on this trade. So everything last Wednesday was definitely telling us that the short-term trade was definitely a good move to the downside, and we then did our multiple time frame analysis, got that confirmation on both the hourly and the 15-minute. So yes, it moved down and would have been a good trade if only if it had popped up and taken us in as we anticipated. It did not. All right, so here we go. Here's our next look at the NZD USD. what we're doing here is we're looking at, again, something very similar to the Aussie. As we know, the NZD and the Aussie usually are symbiotic. They kind of move in the same direction here. The NZD showing that overall it might want to go up. Currently, we've got some indication that it is short-term coming back up again. Now, what I would be looking at is, remember the SET was, the blue SET was saying short at this time, and if price breaks above that SET level, okay, that would then confirm, and if I get a close above that level, that price wants to go higher. So we've got some time in that as well. So overall, the US dollar is a mixed bag. So I don't have a really good feel for trading the US dollar. So what we need to do is take a look and see what might be available out there. So let's go ahead and we look at the Aussie. Change my profile. Aussie was the currency of choice. Let's take a look and see how the Aussie fares against the other majors. Okay. Waiting for, there we go. All right, so little cleaner chart here on the Aussie. I've got my Bollinger Band indicator on here, and one of my students indicated to me, one student asked me in the past, how about the Bollinger Bands? We got Bollinger Band crossovers. How do they correlate? How do they match up with the indicators? Well, they match up pretty good. The thing about it is, though, you don't look at every crossover. You only want to look at crossovers that happen when price is moved into an upper or lower band. So the Euro Aussie on a daily chart back here, we can see that there was a crossover, okay? And the way I look at this is, and you can put on a Bollinger Band. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and open this chart up so that you can see this, and let's add Bollinger Band to it. So we've got indicators. I think Bollinger Band falls into the trend. Yes, here it is. So let's put a standard Bollinger Band onto the chart, period 20, deviation 2, and I always use a typical price. And so we have this, say okay. And well, that's kind of difficult to see the Bollinger Band here. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit darker so that we can see it. All right, there we go. All right, so there's your Bollinger Band. And so what you'll notice is that when you have price crossing the Bollinger Band here, you can see in kind of the middle of the price was trading above the Bollinger Band. We got highs above the Bollinger Band, and then we had highs going below the Bollinger Band. But that was happening in the middle of the channel, right? So here we see price was above the Bollinger Band. We had highs, and notice that I'm saying highs. I'm not saying closes. I'm saying highs. Highs above the Bollinger Band. And then those highs went below the Bollinger Band, and those highs below the Bollinger Band were in the channel. So if you don't have the, my flowers, one of my students called this, where did the flowers come from? The flowers are an indication of the Bollinger Band on the upside highs. On the low side, obviously, we're talking about lows going outside the Bollinger Band, below the Bollinger Band, and then the lows coming back inside the Bollinger Band. Okay? But again, I'm really only interested when that happens in an upper band or lower band of the channel. Okay? That's where I get significant indications. So right now, we're trading in the middle of the channel here on the Euro Aussie. Let's go ahead to the Pound Aussie. And what do we see here? Well, we see that there's a potential for price to come down, but it has not reached into the upper band here. It did down below here, giving us an opportunity. Now remember, when I trade against the longer term trend, I focus initially on a 30, when I'm looking at a daily chart. Let me make sure you understand. When I'm looking at a daily chart, I'm looking at 30 pips. If I'm trading counter the channel, if I'm trading with the channel, then I focus on trying to grab 50 pips. Okay, so those are kind of, and I found in my personal analysis that those numbers hold up very, very well. Okay. Do they always work? No, nothing always works, but it seems to be rather a good approach, and I will monitor and manage so that I can move my target and take a little bit more for a trade. And simultaneously, when I move the target, I always will move the stop loss going into a free trade and then moving it to lock in profits so that price doesn't go against me. Now, some traders are of the opinion that once you put on a stop loss, you leave it alone, you do nothing, you leave your trade and then let it happen what happens. Hey, if that's your trading plan, fine. If it works for you, great. Do what works for you. I am only showing you what works for me. My mentality, my approach to trading. I'm very conservative in what I do. I only take trades that I feel have a very high probability of being successful. Okay? As we've seen in the last 2 weeks, those trades would have been very much more successful if I had only taken a market order. Well, that'd be great, but the market order would have exposed me to a much bigger stop loss because I know exactly where my stop belongs before I get into a trade, right? SET, stop, entry, target. Stop, knowing where you're going to exit if it goes against you is critical. You must know where you're going to get out. That's all there is. Okay? So, based on my trading style, I know exactly where my stop belongs. And then I have to look at the entry, S-E, stop. Entry. Does that entry give me enough for the stop within the account size that I'm working with? Okay, so if I have a stop that and I want to get into it immediately, and that is a 200 pip stop, well, a 200 pip stop might be the right stop size. But then I have to know what my position size is going to be if I'm going to have a 200 pip stop. I'm not going to take a 200 pip stop trading standard positions compared to a 200 pip stop trading minis or even micros. Okay? And you should be trading minis and even micros as you are building confidence in your trading style, in your trading analysis. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the next one here. The Aussie CAD, you can see here, and I'm looking at a daily chart, confirm that. My indicator is the Bollinger Band move, so that's the flowers, right? So what indicators are on this chart? Obviously, my channel with my channel dots. Okay, remember, you know what the channel dots mean. If you don't, go back and look at the recorded sessions. Find the session that identifies the dots and tells you why those dots exist. Then I'm looking at the alert. Again, if you don't know what the alerts mean and how they work, go back and take a look and find that out. Then I have the alert confirmations and my flowers. I'm going to just call them flowers. Let's call them flowers. I like that term. All right. So we had this up here. No flowers up here. No flowers up here. What does that mean if there's no flowers up here, but I'm getting indications that price wants to pull down? Well, that tells me that what's really happening here is there's a very strong bias to the upside. And yes, price did move down, but again, if I had taken a trade up in this area, I would be looking at trying to grab 30 pips. If it comes down into this lower band area, looking at this back here, you can see price was very strong prior to that. It did pull back, got flat. I would be looking for 50 pips because I'm trading with the trend, okay? I would be counter trend or counter trend here, and that would be the end of the trend, the bend at the end, as we call it. And so here the Bollinger Bands are definitely helping me to make that decision, okay? So I know that, again, if price is going to change direction, the shorter term trend is going to have to change in the direction that we want it to go, because obviously coming down to the lower band, the shorter term trend is going to be down. So we have to give weight, we have to mentally decide which trend, the long-term trend is the one that we want to take or rely on more heavily than the shorter-term trend, especially when we run into upper or lower bands. All right, let's go ahead and look at the Aussie Swiss. Here's the Aussie Swiss. Again, nice setup up here. Now, on these charts here, I don't have all of my other indicators because, as one of my students mentioned, he said, well, you just got a bunch of indicators that are confirming each other. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I want indicators that are confirming each other in different ways. And so there we have that move showing up, coming down, right? And our Aussie yen, same move, okay? And our Aussie New Zealand, there's the Aussie New Zealand. Here we had a very strong indication that price is going to move out, although we had no flower down here. Okay, but what we had was a very deep move, and I would be looking for a change in here, coming back up out, right? And so here, where there's no flower, down in here, I would say, okay, uh, I'm not getting the indication that I'd like. So what would I do? Let's say we go to another template, and where is that template? Okay, down here. All right, so there we see now no flower down here, but what do I see? I see all of my other indicators telling me that that is a high potential, high probability move to the upside. Where would I go from here? I would go to the trading view chart and see if I have a lot of unfilled orders at that level. Okay, so there's that approach here. Let's take a look at the euro, and we'll go ahead and quickly take a look at the euro, see if we can find something. We're running out of time here. So we're waiting for this to set up, and I'll increase this. And again, the jog that we have here means that I need to go back either up or down. I'm going to jump onto the 4-hour and then go back to the daily to smooth it out. So it looks like we may be coming to an opportunity down here for price to reverse and come back up. The overall trend is down. Okay, so I would expect that price is going to continue to come down because the overall trend and the short-term trend is down. We are, however, getting indications that price might want to change direction. So I would watch for this area to give me some additional information, and the MACD here, I would be watching for MACD to cross the signal line, giving me one of these yellow circles, and with that information then decide to take a trade. All right, so how does this look? Let's go ahead and look at the template, and that's called the BB move. What do we see here? I'm going to go ahead and reduce this down a little bit. All right, so we've seen that there have been some breakouts above the band coming back into the band. Okay, and again, one of the things that you can look at is when price goes above the band and comes back into the band, if it's doing it in the direction of the overall trend and the current trend, you might want to take a trade. Even though this is in the middle of the channel, you might want to take a trend just below the flower if you have a close below the flower. Here again, close below the flower, and then you look back to find your high pivot, putting your stop at the high pivot and targeting down below here. All right, so we don't have anything on the euro pound. Let's go ahead and take a look at the euro Swiss. Nothing here. Euro yen. Euro yen, nothing here. Why am I saying nothing here so quickly? Price is moving in the middle of the band, right? It's in the center of the band. So I'm not going to take a lot of time to look for that. We're looking for a trade. Potential move to the downside here, but I'd want to see something happen more. That was the Canadian. Here is the New Zealand. Maybe we have something here. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. 4 hour, jumping back to the daily. All right, let's move this chart up. All right, so price has just come down into the lower band, okay? And we're getting confirmation to the downside. There'll probably be some additional move to the downside on this, on the New Zealand, similar to the Aussie. Let's go ahead and look at the Aussie, Euro Aussie, trading in the middle with looks like a little bit of a rollover where the profile is moving down. The MACD is moving up. Okay, so do we have any divergence in the MACD? Well, the MACD was moving up, 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 up. You can follow the blue diamonds here, showing that there's a continuous move to the upside, where the euro was building some strength, and price was moving up. So there's no divergence here that we can see at all. Okay, so again, know how to look for divergence in your indicators. So the euro isn't giving me anything to take a look at. Let's take a look at the yen. Jump to the yen. All right, here's the yen. Open this up, and everything looks like it's going up. The MACD is flat, basically touching onto the zero, not really moving away from it. So we'll move on, go to the next one. Here's the Canadian. Have to clean this up a little bit before I can really look at it. Here we go. Right now, looks like price is wanting to go up slightly. Okay, we don't have any real indication that we're basically flat in here. There was a slight move to the upside. Nothing really showing. We've got an alert here. If we just followed the alert and focused only on the alert, we'd be looking for an alert confirmation to the downside. However, everything keeps looking up. Let's take a look at the pound. We've already looked at the pound yen. This is the same chart. Okay, so possible turn to the downside here on the pound yen. Pound showing some strength against the yen. I'd be again looking for some additional information here. Okay, it's not enough for me to see a channel dot and an alert. I need more. Two indicators of the multiple indicators that are available to us is just not enough. Okay, and let's look at the Swiss yen. Again, we're working in the middle of the channel. The Aussie Aussie yen kind of flat, kind of drifting down. Not really showing a lot of indications. Looks like it just touched into the upper band and is going down, but sideways movement, dropping somewhat down below here. Not exciting. Not exciting to me. When I see a trade, and you may have noticed that in the last couple of weeks, I saw trades that I thought would be good trades, and they just talk to me. Once you understand what you're looking at, how you're looking at those trades, you can basically get a good feel for what's going to happen. Don't trade by your gut alone. Make sure you always do the analysis. Always do the analysis. Here again, looks like we may be coming to a counter trend trade on the NZD, the New Zealand, the Kiwi yen, but nothing there. All right, so there's been some talk, and again, I don't usually look at this, or I won't say that I don't trade. I don't trade the U.S. indices on this MT4 platform, but I do use the MT4 platform to give me an indication of what's happening, what's going on. And what I see on the Dow here, the Dow moving back up. Here's an SET, right? SET showing that we've got a price increase. The Dow has gotten fairly weak. Okay, is this the turn that everybody's been anticipating? Okay. Why do I watch the Dow? Well, in my individual retirement account, I do have stock. I hold stock that I've been holding for a long time. They've done very well, but I'm watching to see if I need to close those positions because of the overall market. Remember, the tide lifts or drops all ships, right? So I'm watching that. So that's the Dow is still showing some strength to the upside. It's pulled back some. Let's see how it goes. There probably will be a surge. If you look at any Dow, if you look at the U.S. indices, you'll always see that there is a surge. If you want to call it a double top, you can call it that. But there's usually a surge just before it finally collapses or moves strong to the opposite side. It's been strong for quite a while. All right. So that's the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the U.S. indices. The U.S. dollar index right here, we can see is still showing weakness, down, and that's what we saw when we did our math. One final thing here in the last minute, let's go ahead and look at gold, silver, and the oil. What is happening with oil? Oil is getting pricey. Okay. All right. So we can see that the price of oil here, these two charts, the West Texas crude and the British Brent crude, at the top of the charts, at the top. So oil is getting pricey. It's into the 50 medium 50 range, medium to upper 50 range. At 60, it becomes expensive, good profits, but expensive. So we'll see. Here is the gold. Gold is basically moving flat, and silver, I hear a lot of people talking about jumping on silver. Now, silver has shot up uh, much stronger than gold recently, but it's at the top of the channel, and I expect that it will stabilize and come back down a little bit. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Hope this session helps you to understand how I approach trading. There was no trades today, and that happens. I mean, 2 hours from now, I will probably take a look at the market again. I wait a couple hours, take a look at the market, see what's happening, and see if there's any changes or any significant moves that might be of interest. So about every couple of hours or so, I'll take a look, and we'll see. We'll see. But thanks for being with me for this session. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you again in 2 weeks scheduled. Maybe next week if my plans are disrupted because of COVID, and I'm staying here. If I'm here, I might as well put on another session. So thanks for being with me. Have a great trading week. Enjoy trading. Be safe. And we'll see you next time.